Hey, it's Kevin Ward here. I had a great question emailed to me about what do you do when a prospect or a lead or someone asks you for a free market analysis. How do you handle that? And it may come on your website, maybe from somebody that got something of yours in the mail, and they say, yes, we're interested in a free market analysis, and so forth. How do you do that? Do you go see them? Do you set up a meeting with them? Do you set up a listing appointment? Or what do you do? Well, remember, the most important thing with any person, any homeowner about selling their property is motivation. Is there truly a motivation to sell their house or not? So let's talk about when you get the request for a market analysis, what do you do? Well, the first thing is you got to be very excited about helping them doing a market analysis for them. Let me tell you a quick thing about doing CMAs. Number one, never call it a CMA to a seller or homeowner or potential seller. Why? They may not know what our lingo is. They don't know what a CMA is. Now, if you say a comparative market analysis, perfect, or just a market study. You can call it either one, but make sure you're clear on what you're doing. Sometimes we get into our mind what the lingo is, and we know what a CMA is. They don't know what it is. So when you see CMA request, don't use that term with them. Use comparative market analysis. Now there are basically two types of people that ask for a market analysis. The first type are what I call the just curious. They're just curious what their house is worth. Okay, we're not really going to do anything, but we're just kind of curious, wondering what it'd sell for. We saw it, we got your thing in the mail, and it said, you know, if you'd like a free market analysis, call me. So we figured, okay, let's call them and let's find out. Then the second one is the kind that ask for it, and they want to sell if the price is right. And they're like, if we can get what we want, if the price is right, then yes, we would be interested in selling our property. Now, you got to find, how do you find this out? Well, by asking some great questions. So whenever that happens, whenever they ask for a market analysis and you get it, hopefully you've got a phone number for them. Always communicate by phone if possible. If they just sent an email online request and they've just got an email, say, I'm excited to do a market analysis for you. Tell me what you're looking for in the market analysis. In other words, what are you wanting to get out of it? What's your purpose in getting an up-to-date fair market value analysis of your home? What's that going to tell you? Tell me more about that. What's important to you about that, and so forth. These are great questions to ask over the phone. Okay, now, your decision of do you go out and meet with them or do you just do it by phone and email depends a lot on the situation. If they just ask for it and there's somebody, they may be somebody you know. And they say, hey, we're just kind of curious, would you do a market analysis for us? Absolutely. Do it. You can set the appointment if you want to. If you find out they're just curious and they really aren't going to sell, it's not necessary to actually go to their house and sit down with them and go over the market analysis. It's just not that critical. If it's just, hey, we're just curious, great. What I'm going to do is I'll do a quick market study on your home. I'm going to pull up the comparable sales in the area, and then I'm going to put that together, and then I'm going to email that to you, and then I'll give you a call to follow up. Make sure you got it. Go over it with you, answer any questions you have on it. Won't that be great? Perfect. I'll get that right away. That's the simplest way to do it if it's a just curious. Now, if it's if the price is right, go ahead and set up an appointment to meet with them. Then when you run the market analysis, then you can decide is it worth meeting with them or not. So how do you do that? You'd use my seller sheet, which is a pre-qualifying script to identify what is their motivation. If the numbers are good, do you see yourself making a move in the immediate future? Well, yeah, if we can get what we want, we'll make a move right now. Great. Well, let's set up a time to get together and see what it would take to make the move happen and so forth. And then I'm going to ask questions about what's your motivation, and when we sell this property, where are you going to go next? What's taking you there? How soon would you like to make all that happen? And so forth. And then identify, is there truly a motivation that if the price is right, they're really going to sell, or if they're just going to waste your time. And either way is okay whether they're really interested in selling or whether they're just curious. There's not a right or wrong here for sellers. What's right is for you to do two things. Number one is to connect with them. Okay? And it's very important that you learn how to connect with them without spending too much time doing it. It's not like you have to go show them how good you are by spending 4 or 5 hours. It doesn't convince them of that. What convinces them is the way you communicate with them, that you're professional, that you do what you say you're going to do, and so forth. Spending a lot of time with them to get in with them and all that kind of stuff is probably not as valuable as the fact that you're prompt, you do what you say you're going to do, ask great questions, and you show yourself to be competent by the way you approach them. The second thing is that whether they are ready to do it now or not, is that you are positioning yourself by your expertise and by your diligence and promptness and just the way you communicate, you're positioning yourself as their go-to agent when the time is right. And again, that's one of the things that I teach my clients is that in my coaching is how to do that. And here's what's really important no matter what happens with their motivation or whether they're actually ready to do something or if they're just going to be curious. What's important is that you connect with them and show them your professionalism, show them you're diligent, show them that you do what you say you're going to do, and you're going to be honest with them. And here's the important thing, and that is that you connect rather than try to convince. And the way you connect is by asking questions about what's important to them. What do you want to do? If you did sell this home, where would you go next? Why is that important to you? What would that do for you? What would be the benefit if you sold? What would have to happen to make all this happen for you? And look and see if there's a benefit for them of making the move now. It is absolutely critical if you're going to be a true yes master, if you're going to truly be a great real estate professional, and that is that you are more interested in their interest than in your interest, and that's going to come out in your conversation. And if you're trying to convince them that it's now or never, it's such a BS way of selling. And I see a lot of agents are trying to figure out, how do I convince them to sell now? Stop trying to convince. The key is that you learn to connect with people and position yourself as their go-to agent so that when they are ready to actually move, you're automatically the agent they're going to call, and that you are my agent, not just some agent. You're not just some realtor, you are my realtor. That's the commitment. That's the key to making all this happen. And then there's no pressure on you're not pressuring them to try to do something they're not ready. One of the things that is the most frustrating for agents is they spend all this time trying to do it, trying to get a seller to sell, and then the seller backs out. They spend all this time, they go over their house, and they think, I just almost got them, and then they decide to do it, and then they back out. Well, a lot of times the reason the sellers backed out was they didn't ever really want to move. You were just convincing, and always pushing, and they finally said, okay, well, maybe we will. And it's like we talked them into it when their heart was never in it, ready to sell. So how do you do it? You got to dig in. You got to dig deep and ask questions to find out, is this really something that's in their best interest? Is it something they really want to do? Because when they're ready to make the move and you're ready to help them and you've made that connection, it's absolutely beautiful because it's so fun and enjoyable to work with somebody who actually is motivated to sell their house. And when they trust you because of the way you've handled yourself and the way you've communicated with them, the way you've connected with them, it is an absolute win-win. So play that way. Focus on connecting, not convincing. If the motivation is there and you connect, you got the job. If it's not there, you're going to beat the crap out of yourself, beat the crap out of them, and you're not going to win. So let them win, and when they win, you win when the time is right. If you connected, you're there. Engage that opportunity and play to win.